Thank you for coming this evening. For those of you who don't know me, Andrew Greenfield, you're a very proud principal and proud graduate of Port Richmond High School. What I really want you to clap for is yourselves. Please. Because on this cold and rainy Thursday night at 6:45, you knew that this was important, that your child's future is important. I know a lot of you are sitting here saying, I can't believe 4 years have gone by already, and they're going off to college or off to a job or off to the military. But that time is here. I want you to know, I just spent the last 2 years doing the college application process. And the last one is now out of the house, and it's awesome. But I also want you to know that these next few months are going to be stressful. You're going to fight with your child. You're going to say, did you write that essay? And they're going to say, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. Be patient, talk about colleges, and most important, use the resources here at the school. We have one of the best college and career counselors in the city of New York. And I can tell you this because I had 2 kids that went to 2 different high schools in New York, and I used Miss Blanchard for advice because their schools were giving me nothing. So trust me, take advantage of the resources here. Ms. Blanchard has a huge caseload, and she will take time for each and every one of you. But do your research, be patient, don't fight too much, and make smart decisions that are going to affect your child for the rest of their life. I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Blanchard, who I thank for everything she does for our students.
Hi, good evening. I'm Miss Blanchard. If you are on Gamma, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, getting on, you have heard from me a lot since February of junior year. I send out weekly blasts. I do a lot of information. In senior year, you're going to be inundated. It is a lot of information, but I want you to have it all. If you are not on Gamma, you're going to call our parent coordinator tomorrow and get on it, because it is how the school is communicating with you. Okay? This is senior information night, and the college office is made up of myself, and that's my email and phone number. This is going to be posted, so don't worry about taking pictures of everything and making sure you get the information and writing it down. This will be posted in multiple languages by next week. Ms. V, our secretary in the college office, and Ms. Seidowitz, who does the transition coordinating for the school. So these are your 3 main contacts with what your next steps should be and how to successfully navigate when you're in the fall of next year and you're not in the comforts of Port Richmond anymore, that you are employed, enrolled, or enlisted. Okay, we're going to keep moving. And the topics of a discussion. Well, I already said the first. Options for post-secondary. Sometimes a lot of it comes down to just learning the language. That in and of itself could be a full-time job, learning the language of the college office and the post-secondary world. So when I go into the classrooms, I tell the kids, go back to your SAT. Post means after, secondary is high school. So I'm the after high school counselor. What are you doing after high school? I'm going to help you get there. I see some people looking around because some people, when they came in, received this book, and some people received a blue handbook. They're going to be in my office the rest of the week. I love that this many people are here, and we are thrilled that this many people are here. We didn't have quite this same turnout for junior night, so we didn't have as many copies made. Everything will be in our office in B233, and you are free to come in, and the students are free to come in and get all of that over the next few weeks. As far as we're going to talk about tonight, some financial aid, standardized testing, college scholarships, which I know is always the big question, and requirements. So the first thing is, and Mr. Greenfield just hit on this because, again, he just went through it, is communication. Sometimes I have grandma call me and say he doesn't want to miss Sunday dinner, and he'll never go away. And in 5 minutes, I have a student coming in telling me that same student looking at schools in California. Somehow, I start to think, did I talk to my grandma? Like, what's happening? So you have to have these conversations. And sometimes at this time, they are hard conversations. It's money, which we know they're not really understanding. It's that idea of having loans, which we know they're not really understanding. And it's the student being more mature coming to you, why do I want this school? And they actually did their research on the school, not because my friend goes there. Okay, so it's these conversations, this expectation. How far are you willing to let somebody go or not go? That has to be a real conversation, because the hardest part of this job, and I've done it for quite a while, is when kids apply to schools that their parents will not let them go to, and then they get in. I don't want to be at your house at Thanksgiving when that happens. It's hard. So I always tell the students and the parents, if they are not going to be allowed to do it, whether it's military, whether it's vocational, whether it's 2-year, 4-year, don't let them go down that road, because it becomes a really hard conversation when it all comes to fruition. Okay? As we keep moving on, college is a business. This is a hard fact. When I have the seniors and the juniors, I don't baby them anymore, because starting next year, you're not allowed to talk to the college. You can pay for it. You can't talk to anybody. You're not going to talk to their boss and ask why they didn't get a promotion. You're not allowed to talk to their colonel in the Army, I can tell you that much. So they have to start doing things for themselves, and we said it in the senior meeting, they have to start adulting. We're not just going to let them go, we're going to help them through it, but it's all of us together. But this is the reality. I could have twins sitting in front of me with the same average, same grades, same resume. If one is applying to the engineering program, but that school needs the library science major, one might get in and one might not. If you are the one kid from New York City applying to South Dakota, you're getting in. Because then on their commercial, they can say, we have kids from 50 states. It's a business. They're out for themselves. It's emotional for you. It's emotional for the students. It's personal for you, and it should be. But this is why I'm here, because I can kind of be more of a reality check and let you know it is a business. Okay? And we know that, but it's sometimes when we go back to that thought, it starts to make sense. So when students come to me, and I know a school has a 5% acceptance rate, I'm going to say it's a reach. And that is never to hurt somebody's feelings. It's so that we also apply somewhere else. I will absolutely send it. I will write them a great letter. We will endorse it. I can prep them for an interview. But if that's the reality, some schools might say they have a 50% acceptance rate, but that's for in-state students. University of North Carolina, I've had valedictorians not get in to the Chapel Hill campus. They'll send them to the Greensboro campus, the Wilmington campus, because in-state, they accept about 90% of their students. They take care of their own. And the out-of-state students, they're Division I athletes. So this is where we have to just know going into it that there's a whole other world behind it. Okay, so these are immediate responsibilities, and this is where the screen gets small because we have a lot. Get on the senior Google Classroom. Myself, Mr. Modugno, you can't walk past us without us giving the kids this code. Their junior classroom rolled into their senior classroom. We're quite confident most of them are on it now, so now they have to start checking it weekly. I know that I went on with Mr. Meduno because they want to hear about their carnival and graduation and all the fun things. So I snuck on with him. So it's one less that they have to check, and I know that then they're looking at it. Families, please get on Gamma. We have the ability to send you a voice message, which you could have gotten for this today. We have the ability to send you a text message. Anytime I post anything on the Senior Google Classroom page, a scholarship opportunity, job opportunities, I send it in a text as well. So your phone will be blowing up, you know it's from me. But that means you get the message. And if I can't fit it, because we only get a certain amount of characters, I think it's now 360, it will say, there is a new post on your child's Senior Google Classroom page. Please check. And then you know to go to that. Completing the lunch form, compiling your list. What is it we want to do? And what I tell students all the time, if you don't know what you want to do, what is it you don't want to do? Sometimes that will help us, give you, do you need vocational? Do you need a 2-year? Do you need a 4-year? You might not know what you want to do. I read an article a couple of years ago. The average person changes their career 3 times before they're 60. So that means I'm still wrong. And I tell the kids, and if you thought I was 60, now I'm mad at you. So, that's the reality. They might not know. And if they are looking at a 4-year school, they don't decide until the end of sophomore year. So they don't need to know this year. Sometimes you're better off applying under undecided, because the requirements might be better to get in as an undecided than applying to a different program, if that is your top school. Okay, the senior guidance meetings, we're going to start having them coming in. We wanted to have this meeting first because a lot of the questions usually come from this meeting, and it's also, we give you a lot of the information. The lunch forms, I've been blasting that out. I know that's been happening in the morning when they're swiping in. The lunch forms need to be filled out because it allows fee waivers, not just for the college applications, but for different things during the year, AP testing, different things that come up. So we love to have those done. Usually when they have younger siblings, we know they're done, but if they're not, if they can't do it online, you can go to the ESO store, get the copy, and bring it back. Reviewing your transcript, you need to know what your grades are before you start going on to this next phase, because you can't say, I have about an 80, and then I print out your transcript, and it's a 75. To a college, a 75 is not about an 80. A 78.9 is about an 80, because they're envisioning that by the time you enroll in their school, after a great senior year, you're going to surpass that 80. So please know, you have to know your grades to have a real strong list and for it to be realistic. They can come to my office, I can print it out, I can email it to you so you have the copy. What they are going to be going through this process with is the first 6 semesters of high school, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomore, 2 junior. Okay, completing your college essay. I blasted those out last year. I will do that again. It's in the handbook. Common App wants 650 words. CUNY wants 500 words. It's quality, not quantity. If you can write a really good essay in 500 words, you can use it for both. It's the same topics. Don't go crazy. Make it good. Because then I have kids that do 650, copy and paste it into CUNY, send their essay, and they didn't realize the last half of their essay didn't get in. And now they get rejected from Baruch, Queens, Hunter, because it looked like you did not care to review your application. So we have to be very careful with things like this. We have to start visiting places. I know that's hard, but you have to start seeing. We can't just see it in pictures. Everything looks fantastic in pictures. See what the commute is like. Get on the bus. Go to John Jay. Get on the train. Get on the ferry. See what it's like. Head into Brooklyn. Go to City Tech. Go to St. Francis. Practice the commute. I know when we're off, it's a little different because obviously the traffic's not the same, but get an idea that schools aren't closing because it's raining. You can't not go. So you want to see what these things are like. You want to see the distances. If you are going away, how long are you driving on that New York State Thruway? Kids will come to my office. I heard Buffalo's great. Yeah, University of Buffalo is a phenomenal school. You do know it's 8 hours. What? How big is New York? Very, so they have to be aware, and you have to be aware too, because it changes then your list sometimes. And the other thing is, you could always apply first and then go visit. There's no right way to do this. Some kids wait till they get an acceptance letter and then they go visit. So, ideally it's nice to see it and then you apply, but everyone, if you get CUNY done in October, has a free CUNY application this year. Port Richmond High School, every senior can apply up to 7 SUNYs for free. So don't say, well, we have to, be very careful of how many we're applying to because we're not going to get the fee waivers. That's for every student. CUNY announced it 2 days ago. The month of October is free application month. And SUNY is 7 schools for every Port Richmond student. Okay, your private schools you're still going to have to pay for, and we'll talk about that, unless you're eligible for fee waivers. So I understand hard to see some schools and the money part of it, but you definitely do need to see schools before you get dropped there or before you go there for the first time. Obviously being prepared, understanding the profiles, and asking questions. The pathways. These are all the things that we expect every student to have for next year. You're picking, obviously, one of them, the one that's best for you. And you might not know right now. So we sometimes encourage the students. I want every student to apply to CUNY, every single one, because your application is good for an entire year. So even if you don't matriculate in the fall of 24, your seat is still there in the spring of 25, and you don't have to then reapply or pay the $65 fee. And sometimes what happens is kids want to start working, and they go to work, and they realize it ain't all it's cracked up to be. And then they want to start in the spring, and now they can because their seat is there. And I tell kids a lot of times, the money that's good at 18 and 19 might not be good when you're 25 and 26 and have different responsibilities. And sometimes when they work from the time they graduate, and now it's full time until next October, they're saying, maybe I should go back to that CUNY application and take a look. So we want everyone to get in CUNY. CUNY also has phenomenal 2-year programs, and I'll get into that a little later. Then we have our 4-year colleges. Some are 2-year, 4-year, some have both. We have our technical schools. So this is vocational, this is trade. One of the things that DOE has, it has an extension program called Co-op Tech. It is completely free. Their main campus is in Manhattan. There's three vocations over at Concord High School that you could do that. It's like barbering, carpentry, and then the Manhattan campus has everything. It's like over 60 trades and licenses. It is, like I said, it's an extension for DOE. It is free. You're not filling out financial aid. The application does not come out, though, until the spring. Last year, and it's the first year I've ever seen it, we had so many kids interested in Co-op Tech, they didn't get in. They were put on waiting lists. And now it was their responsibility in the summer to check the email if they got off the waiting list. They don't check their email. Some kids came back to my office and said, I'm so glad you applied me to City Tech because I could do the HVAC program there because I didn't make Co-op Tech. So they had options, and that's what we want for every student, is to have options. Other technical schools you'll hear of, Lincoln Tech, Apex, and different, Paul Mitchell, different things like that. Those tend to be very expensive. They could be easily $20,000 for the license. And now what happens when you go and you don't like it? You're paying that $20,000. So we have to be very careful with knowing what we like. Armed services, we can help the kids understand who they need to go talk to. They can go to the offices of the different places in Staten Island, the different recruiting offices. I do ask this. When they make an appointment to go to a recruiting office, and I tell this to the students, they need to have an adult present, a parent or a guardian. Sometimes these recruiters are very aggressive, and they tell the students a lot of information that could all be true if everything works out, but kids have come back and have signed without their parents' knowledge, and then when they realize what they signed up for, panic. So please, I would never discourage anyone. You have my utmost respect, but please have a parent and guardian present and walk away with the information, absorb it, discuss it, and then go back if it's for you. And then obviously the workforce. And we can help kids with resumes. We'll help with interview skills. Well, if we have jobs that come through, when I get the things for the civil service test, we blast it out. So that's always another option. And sometimes kids will say, I'm going to work for my uncle, I'm going to wait for this person. As long as we know that you have an avenue that will lead to a success. Okay? And now with that, I think the next slide is Sam Seidowitz is our transition coordinator. I want her to come up and just to introduce herself, because she also will help, especially with kids doing the vocational and trade route.
So hi everyone, I'm just going to talk really quickly about what we have when it comes to resources. I specifically work with students who have IEPs. So Co-op Tech, which Ms. Blanchard spoke about before, is a great opportunity. It is free, again, free for you. They offer so many programs from automotives to construction. I had a student last year that wanted to do welding. They offered that. They offer nurse's assistant. If you want to be a hairdresser, any type of trade they offer. They also offer for you a free Metro card. So they are located in the 5 boroughs. Again, their application process you go through me with, and I help you with all the paperwork. They are becoming very competitive. So if you think, it's senior year, you can, relax, that's not an option. You need to keep those grades up because that's what they're looking at. I had some kids last year who, they failed a couple of classes and they were put on the wait list because of it. So that's one option for you. What's great about Co-op Tech is that they have a morning and an afternoon session. You choose your session. So I had one student last year, he got accepted to BMCC. He went for business and then he applied to Co-op Tech because he wanted to be a barber. So he wanted to open up his own barbershop. So he was able to start that program. So it is a great way that if you're looking for trade, it's something that's out there. You do not need an IEP to apply to Co-op Tech. The application comes out in the spring. Again, even if you don't have an IEP, I will still help you apply to Co-op Tech. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd like to say about them. They are an amazing program, but again, they are becoming very competitive these days. Another program, it's only for if you have an IEP, is Access VR. Access VR, I will help you with that application. With that application, they give you access to a lot of services that you may be getting here. If you get counseling, if you get speech, they provide those services to you. If you decide to go to college, Access VR will, if they can, help you pay for college. They will help you pay for your books. They will help you if you want to go into the workforce. Anything you want to do, Access VR is for you. But you have to be proactive. I love that I see a lot of parents here tonight, but with Access VR, they want to hear from the students. It's really about self-advocation, okay? You have to be aggressive and you have to be advocating for yourself because every parent in here, every adult in here will tell you it doesn't get easier, okay? You need to fight for that. I think that's about it. Oh, one more thing. If you have an IEP and you are going to college, there are offices of disabilities. Please make sure that your student can go to that office. No one is going to ask your student if they have an IEP. You need to go see what services or accommodations they have for you. They're not going to say anything to you. You have to go find them, okay? So if you need any help, any student, I'm in B266.
Thank you. And just to piggyback on that, there is nowhere on the application to indicate you have an IEP because the colleges want to make sure that you're getting in based on your grades and all the other requirements. So again, once you get in and now you can seek the services, you can go to the student of accessibility, disabilities, so they all have different names, but that's not going to be part of your application unless through your essay you make it part of your application. Okay. Moving on. How do we work with seniors? So essentially, they'll make appointments with me in B233. We go into some classes. We help with the CUNY application, individual meetings, all these different things. I will also help the students navigate through the SUNY application, the Common application, the NCAA. If you're a student athlete and you're looking to play Division I, Division II, you need to register with the NCAA. That website is also going to be on this a little later. So you can get clearance. You need to make sure you're in the right classes because there is a sliding scale. They need to know that you've gotten the appropriate grades and taken the appropriate core classes over the last 3 years. Naviance is a system that we use. I will explain that because we have slides on that. And obviously, if you need help building a resume, whether an athletic resume, an academic resume, and then with essays. Okay, so a lot of times kids will come in and show me an essay or show their English teacher an essay or someone else in the building, a mentor, ask us to edit it, ask us to help them with it, and we're happy to do that with them. Just to keep in mind, with a college essay, the college is not, some of the kids come in and they want to tell this heart-wrenching story. That should not be your essay. Your essay is how that heart-wrenching story is going to make you a very good college student. So that story needs to be comprised into the first paragraph. And then the rest of the essay is how that is going to make you successful at college. Okay, so I see a lot of inspiring grandmas. I see a lot of sad stories. Grandma's not going to college. You are. I love that she has inspired you. But now, what traits have you developed that are going to make you successful? Okay, so we want to keep those things in mind. Again, there's a lot of posts on Google Classroom. Mini Fair is going to be in school as long as they are attending, which they should be doing, because we talked about that and at our grade meetings, 90% attendance this year, which means you can only have a couple absences all year. On October 17th, we have pretty much a handful of the CUNY colleges coming. We have a SUNY representative. And then what we call it our mini fair. We look for a lot of the schools close by that our students apply to. They're going to go down during class time, and they're going to be able to walk around this mini fair in the library. It's getting popular. We had somebody call us last week from about 6 states away, and they said, we heard you're having a fair on the 17th. We're just like, how did you hear that? So we know that the colleges are coming, so we expect the students to be here. Financial aid night is going to be October 12th. Financial aid, the reason we do it in October is it usually comes out in October. You are so lucky they are revamping financial aid this year, and it is not going to be out until December. We will still have the night in October because I can present information. We haven't decided yet if it's in person or on Zoom. By the looks of it, you come out in person, so that might be a great option. And we'll go through the financial aid process and different options for college. Okay, so now what are the colleges looking for? Again, this would be the 2-year, the 4-year, some of you are more competitive. Obviously, standardized test scores, that is no longer a lock. Standardized test scores for most schools are optional. It's called test optional. CUNY is test optional. You do not need to send your SAT. And that's okay. When do I send it? I look at the school profile. If I meet it or I exceed it. If you don't, you do not send it. It's that simple. There's really nothing else behind it. So what else are they going to look at? Your GPA, the rigor of the classes you have taken. This is where Port Richmond is doing your child a favor. Senior year math, senior year science. We're taking care of the rigor. We're helping them. This makes a difference. Personal letters of recommendation. This went up for the students to ask last May on their junior Google Classroom. You can start asking teachers for a letter of recommendation. Who do I ask? We'll get into that, but I'll talk a little about it now because then I can move through it faster later. Ask a teacher. If you're going into a math or a science, you need to ask a math or a science. Sometimes it's better to ask the teacher you struggled with and that you went to tutoring for. You sought them out. Maybe they're also a mentor in one of your clubs because now they can talk about the whole person because the letter is really supposed to be about you in that class, Not that you're the Girl Scout troop leader. Unless they're your leader, they can't write about you in Girl Scouts. If they're not your soccer coach, they can't talk about how you are captain of the soccer team. It's got to be about you in their class. We have a form for them to fill out. The more detailed they put it in that form, they essentially can put paragraphs of their own letter together by reminding the teacher of something excellent they did. My brochure is the one that hangs on your wall for everybody to see. That's unique. Not they come to class every day. You're supposed to. It's high school. You need to show up. That can't be your letter. That's not impressing anyone. That's an expectation. Your curricular activities, get involved, whether it's in school or out of school. Nobody says, the colleges do not expect you to be the Red Raider running around. Somebody is. If you're not it, that's okay. Some of you have jobs after school, so you couldn't join 100 clubs. But you've done that since freshman year. What colleges want to see is how do you manage your time? Time management, organization. I had a student a few years ago, sweetest little thing. She was afraid to put babysitting down because she said she got paid cash. I said, the IRS is not coming after you on your college application. Put it down. The colleges need to know. It was her job to go pick up her neighbor at the bus stop, bring him home, do the homework, make him dinner. She didn't start her work until 10 o'clock at night. The college needs to know that. She did this 5 days a week from the time she was a sophomore. So she had to quit the team she was on. She had to quit something else. They want to know. If you're involved in high school in some way, chances are you're going to get involved in college. The biggest issue in American colleges is retention rate. They want to offer you the seat, but they want to know you're going to stay in it. So that's a big deal. Go back and start to think, what did I do? Was I a student ambassador? Did I go on all the walks that Mr. Modugno posts every day? Did I shovel snow for my neighbor? Was I on the freshman swim team? Did I join coding club? And again, even if you didn't do it in school, maybe I did the SYEP program in the summer. Maybe I help at my local church. Maybe I volunteer at the library. You have to rack your brain. And this is where you start asking the people around you, what did I do? What did I used to do? And it's from high school. That's the other part of it. Nobody wants to know that you won the 6th grade science fair. Congratulations. Hopefully we can add to that because you were 11 at the time. Now you're 18. So from high school on. Now, if you're one of those people that has done something from pre-high school and all through, you're absolutely allowed to put that. You know, I have the dancing school. I've done it since I've been 3. Okay, great. Put on 15 years of dancing school. That's great. But that's what we're talking about, okay? And then your special talents, again, that really kind of loops into a lot of times your extracurricular activities, okay? We can keep moving. What are you looking for in college? Again, we talked a little about this, the campus life. Do you want sororities, fraternities? Do you want that to be the life on the campus or a little part of it? Do you not want that at all? Where's the location? Some kids hate the cold. Then please don't go north. You know, size. We all know you here. You can't walk down the hall without a dean knowing you, a teacher knowing you, an assistant principal knowing you. Some of you like that. You might not want to admit you like it, but it makes you feel at home. You may go to a class that is this size, and it is your freshman biology class. Are you comfortable with that? Some people are. Some people aren't. You have to know those kind of things. And every college also has to offer a smaller size, but it might be on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. So are you going to take the Saturday class with 25 people or the Monday, Wednesday, Friday class at 11 o'clock with 300? That's your decision to make. Maybe one semester you make the right decision, maybe not. You got 13 weeks to push it out because that's how long a semester is. Okay, so those kind of things matter. Your interests matter. Do you want to be involved in a certain way? Whether there is communication, student government, things you've done here, drama, sports. If you know you're not a Division I athlete, but you want to go to a Division I school, you can still get involved. They have intramural sports. They have club sports. The club sports sometimes even travel to the other schools. So these are some things to know. And then and this is the big one, obviously, what is the need financially? Okay, the resources. Do they have mental health counseling on campus? They all do. But how good is it? How much are they promoting it? Career counseling on campus. What are the internships like? What is the graduation rate getting a job right after graduation? These are things that make a difference with your college decisions. Okay, so the types of applications. CUNY is City University of New York. This is 25 universities within. This is your John Jay, Baruch, CSI, Queens, Hunter, Lehman, York, BMCC, Bronx Community, Gutman, Hostess, 25, 2-year, 4-year, City Tech. Students do one application. CUNY syncs with nothing else. You do the CUNY application on the CUNY link that I will send about 1,500 times from tomorrow until the end of the year. It's in the handbook. It's on the Google Classroom. It syncs with nothing else. You get to put 6 schools on the CUNY application. And this is where, when I push into the classrooms, I have a hard time. Because when I sit down with the students, and since junior year, I've blasted out the list of CUNY majors. And as they're sitting there getting ready to hit submit, what 6 should I put on? What do you mean, what 6? You don't know? Why don't you know any of this? One should be CSI. CSI is the only school on Staten Island that is within the CUNY system. CUNY, if you are eligible for financial aid, this is your full scholarship. You will not owe any money back. And if you are eligible for FAFSA, TAP, New York State Aid, and Excelsior, they actually have programs where they pay you to go to college. Because once you're there, they don't want you leaving for your job at CVS or Dunkin' Donuts. They want you to take time to study, so they will give you some students that are eligible for certain programs because of their grades and their application, a couple $1,000s a semester to stay in school. Everyone does CUNY. I will chase you down. I will show up at your house. You will all do CUNY. We want it done in October, and I know that seems very early. If you are applying to a 2-year school on CUNY or CSI, you do not need letters. You do not need an essay. It's an application that can be done in 20 minutes. Like I said, everyone will be doing that. SUNY is State University of New York, 65 colleges in our state system. Oh, and CUNY's, everybody's obviously their safeties. You all get into a CUNY. CSI is 100% acceptance rates for Staten Island students because they don't feel you should pay a toll or gas to go to college. So you might not get into their 4-year, you might get into their 2-year, and then you can matriculate into their 4. SUNY, 65 colleges, some 2-year, some 4-year. That's this book that you received. This is your Binghamton, Purchase, Geneseo, Albany, Old Westbury, FIT. FIT is the only one in the city. So if you're not into fashion, you are dorming at SUNY. Sullivan, Monroe, Genesee. I'm not going to sit here and name all 65 colleges, but you get the idea. SUNY is our state university system. The state of New York is doing you a favor by only making tuition $28,500. When you fill out financial aid, TAP, and if you are eligible, the Excelsior grant, they pay tuition. Tuition is $8,000 of that. They don't give out a lot of scholarships because they feel they are already giving you a gift of a college education for only $28,500. Room and board is roughly $20,000 at the 4-year SUNYs. At the 2-year SUNYs, it's about $14,000. There are not a lot of scholarships or programs that pay room and board. So this is where I go back to that conversation that we have to discuss. That's a hefty loan. Are there ways we can navigate it? Sure. Maybe your child becomes a resident advisor after a freshman year. Resident advisor is room and board for free for 3 years. Now they have nothing. But are you willing to take that chance? Maybe they move off campus sophomore year. You're not paying Manhattan prices. You're in upstate New York somewhere. You'll rent a house with 5 of your friends for $1,500. You got to still pay the rent. So when you hear on the news, every child can go to SUNY for free, yes, your tuition is paid. But we don't live 5 hours away, a block away from Binghamton or Delhi or Alfred. These schools are 4 and 5 hours away. You have to dorm there, unless you have a family member, I guess. Common App is for all the private schools, and if you are doing SUNY and private, we say to use the Common App, and I'll explain why a little more when we get into the Naviance. If you are doing CUNY, and you know that is it, you are done in October, you can skip through the hallways, have a fantastic senior year, and be done. If you are doing SUNY and Common App, you're going to be a little bit more stressed, and that's fine. We'll walk you through it. But now you're talking about deadlines and a lot of different things coming into play. The Common App, again, is for all the private schools. Then there's the Common Black Common App, where you can apply for $20, and it's basically all the HBCUs. You apply to the ones you want to go to, but every HBCU can actually see your profile. So you might have applied to Delaware State, but you might get an acceptance from Spelman. And you'll say, I didn't even apply there. If they didn't fit their numbers this year, they look at the other profiles, and then they'll send out letters. Okay? And then the private schools, some students say to me, Ms. Blanchard, I'm doing CUNY, but then I just really want to apply to St. Peter's in Jersey City. If you just want to do one, I wouldn't go through the Common App. That's a lot of time. It's very arduous. Just go on St. Peter's website and apply that way. It will be a lot easier. A lot of times they bypass the fee. A lot of times they bypass the essay. So that's something else that we can discuss. Okay, and now all these slides are basically things I said, but then if they were up, you wouldn't have listened to me. So this is all of our information. Macaulay Honors, this is for top students. It has the prestige of an Ivy League school. There's roughly 520 seats across the city with over 7,000 applicants a year. They want top students. Their application is a lot. It's reference letters, it's essays, multiple. We have had students get in every year, and we are so proud of that. We have, right now, students just in the last few years, Macaulay CSI, Macaulay City College for engineering, Macaulay Hunter for computer science. We have multiples in CSI, and we have another in Macaulay Baruch for business. This is like saying we have one in Princeton, we have one in Harvard. It is the exact same thing, and it's from Port Richmond, and they love our students. So if you are one of these top students and you keep saying, how can I apply to scholarships, how can I apply to scholarships, that's your application for a scholarship. It is one of the only free rides in the entire country left. They will pay for you to go abroad for a semester. They pay for your books. They give you some like secret key to the city where you can get into museums and shows at discounted prices. They bring in the best people in the world to sit once a month in a forum like this with all 500 plus Macaulay students across the city, and they bring in CEOs and doctors and people to talk to you about moving on from Macaulay. So a lot of our students that sometimes think, I want to go to med school, I want to go to law school, I want that name, you will walk away from here with no loans, and then you can go to your med school and your law school and get your loans. But it's one of the best. They only let you put one school down. So you need to know which Macaulay you're applying to. You also need to be very honest in your application because there is an interview process at the end. And a couple of years ago, Macaulay announced they want to represent every major. And suddenly there was like a push for these random majors that nobody really wanted to go into, and everybody wanted them all of a sudden. Everybody wants to suddenly go into library science. Because they were like, oh, I can get into Macaulay because nobody else is applying library science. And then during the interview, they asked them about their love for library science. I like science and libraries? No, you're done. Okay, so you need to be honest. But it is unbelievable and very competitive. And I will tell you right now, Hunter is the most competitive because Hunter also offers dorms. So it's not just the tri-state area kids. It's across the country. Who doesn't want to live in New York City? College student. So Hunter offers the dorms with it as free, as part of the tuition, as part of the package. It is definitely insanely competitive. Okay, and then, again, this is the SUNY. This is the breakdown of theirs. We already talked about this. Your more competitive SUNYs, your Stony Brooks, your Buffaloes, your Binghamtons, not only are they going to have you do the general essay, they're also going to ask you some supplemental questions. Why? They want to know you really want to go there. Because once the Excelsior grant was announced, SUNYs tripled in applications. Binghamton went in 1 year from needing like an 83 average to a 95 average. They tripled because the way the Excelsior grant was kind of put out to media is everybody can go to a SUNY, you pick the one you want to go to, and we're picking up the tab. And that is not the case. So SUNYs are no longer, oh, it's a safety. And SUNYs, as I talked about earlier, what UNC does, and they take care of their own, New York doesn't. New York only wants 50% of the SUNYs to be New York students, because the out-of-state students pay $65,000. So they don't save all the seats for us. So they're very, very competitive. Early action for SUNY is November 1st. If you fit the wheelhouse, get those in. Common App, again, it's a very detailed, you're filling out one application and you can send it to multiple schools. You can go in, you can save it, put your family information, and all that stuff, your education, your extracurricular, and then you list the schools and you go through each school and you can send it to each school. Some of the schools might be as easy as green check. I signed my FERPA waiver, green check. I answered a question. Do you want to submit this? Yes, green check. It goes. Others will have supplemental questions. So this is, again, not everybody is going to use this. If you use this, usually those students definitely make an appointment with me and we kind of look through it together. Okay. The Common Black Common App, again, I already explained that. You can apply to 1 or 2 HBCUs, but it will go to all of them. And then the private application. What that means is you're actually going on the school website, hitting apply now, and if it doesn't take you to Common App, it lets you do their own application. When applying, use a computer. I know this sounds crazy. I cannot tell you how many kids come in, hey, miss, can you look at this? And first of all, I'm like, now I need reading glasses because I'm old. And they're opening it, and I'm saying, that's not the application page. It opens up differently on a phone than on a computer. And sometimes they miss essential questions. So if you can, use a computer. If you can't, we have computers in my office. We have laptops. They can come in at any time. They can do it in my office, save it, go back to it. Okay, we have a library here. When they were freshmen, they were all given a device. So take advantage of that. Please don't do some of this on the phone. It makes it really, really difficult to kind of see what's happening. Okay, so Naviance is a system that all the students have. It is not a college application. It is a college organizational search system. If you want to start your college search, if you want to do a career test, if you want to put on a resume, this is the tool to do it. That's basically what most people need to know about Naviance. I'm not going to get into this too much because this is something we introduced a lot in junior year, and I blasted it out, and this was part of the things I really should have been doing. You should have came back with senior year with your list. If you didn't, we will get you there, but this is the search. This will be up on the website, on the Google Classroom page, so you know how to go through this. But you all have a Naviance account. If you transferred in the last year, and for whatever reason yours isn't, come to the office and we'll have it to you by the end of the day. Okay? For Naviance. Now, for those that use Common App, you're going to use Naviance a little bit more because Naviance Naviance, syncs to Common App. So you do your Common App, you submit all your schools, and then you go on to Naviance, and underneath a bar that says colleges I'm applying to, there's a big red flashing match. You click the match button, and now everything you did on Common App shows up on your Naviance. I get an alert. It's probably 2:30 in the morning, because that's a great time to send your college applications. And it says, Ms. Blanchard, you need to forward the transcript, the letters of recommendation, this, that, for this student. And you know who's in my room at 8 o'clock in the morning? Did you send my transcript yet? I'm like, no, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't send your transcript, but I'll get to it soon. So that lets us know what to do for you. And this is why we have a couple other checklists to make sure nothing slips through. Okay, but if you are not using Common App, you don't need to worry about Naviance as far as syncing anything. Okay, so I don't like to harp on this one because I don't want to confuse anyone. Okay, just remember it's not an application. Every year I've had a couple kids add some schools to Naviance, and then they think they applied, and they didn't. It's like having a notebook and writing things down, just online. Okay, so in order to process the applications, you submit them, and then you bring this paper back. We revamped it this year, so even if you had a child last year, we took some of their advice. They felt it was a little confusing. One side is CUNY, and one side is SUNY and private. You bring this back to me. This is a receipt. Then I look at it, and I say, wait, I didn't send your stuff to LIU. How did you apply there? Oh, I forgot to add it to Naviance. Okay, and then we do it. Or, oh, I just sent it because they sent me a priority application. Okay, but they need your transcript. So then I'll go on and I'll just send it to their admissions. It's not a problem. I'm never going to get mad. But this lets me know what I need to do in case, for whatever reason, you didn't let me know somehow. Okay, and then for CUNY, it lets us know that you applied to CUNY and which schools you applied to. So every senior, once they are done applying, should send this in, should bring this into our office. We called it the blue sheet because it used to be a very blue paper. Now I think it's somewhat magenta, but I didn't want to put that on. And then early action, early decision. So that's the picture I just held up, and we can keep rolling. Okay, so this is like the time where you think like, oh my God, is there more? Yeah. But at least, like, you can take a deep breath, maybe. And this was supposed to be for me to get a sip of water. Okay, and now we can move on. All right, so the letters of recommendation. Like I said, a lot of these slides I kind of touched upon already. You're looking for your certain teacher. Unless you're going into a specialty program, I'm applying to STEM, I'm applying to nursing, I'm applying for pharmacy, I'm applying for physician's assistant. They usually do not care what subject you get. Now, I also have a lot of students that will say, my SYEP director wanted to write me a letter. The lady I work for wants to write me a letter. We will accept those, but private schools will not. SUNY schools will not. CUNY schools do. The CUNY application, when it gets to the letter of recommendation section, there's a drop down and says, you know, who am I getting a letter from? And you could actually pick, and you just put in that person's email address, and they will get a direct link that says, Ms. Blanchard requested a letter from you. And they upload it, and it's done. So the letter of recommendation, there's a form. They have to fill that form out. If they are applying to private schools, then we need to make sure we add those requests to Naviance. And I send that link out multiple times. They could also come to me, and I can get it done in the office within 2 or 3 minutes. But that's basically how you do it. You hit applying to colleges, letter of recommendation, you add the requests. And then a lot of times, they also want to hear from the guidance counselor. And the reason that is because, like I said earlier, the teachers can talk about their interaction with the student in class, or if they have them in a club, or they're their mentor. But the guidance counselor is allowed to bring in their extracurricular, their IEP, their awards. The guidance counselor is allowed to bring in some of their story from home, if the student allows that. Maybe they are from a house where mom works nights and they're helping the siblings. That's important for the college to know. So there's a lot more sometimes that the guidance counselor can add in. So if you think you are applying to school that might be a ballpark or might be a reach, that's another good resource. Okay, if you're applying to safeties and you have a lock, you're not going to need that. And then the CUNY, again, I just keep saying the same thing because eventually it'll sink in. If you're applying to CUNY 2-year or CSI, you don't need letters. We can get that out within a week. Okay. The college list, everybody says, how many should I apply to? How many should I apply to? There is no right number, but I will tell you, too many is not good because it gets very overwhelming. So you're applying 6 on CUNY. So right there, you've already applied to 6 schools. 1 being CSI, because again, I guess I need to write it again. Maybe 4, and again, some kids, they're done at CUNY. That's okay. You can be. If you know you're going CUNY, be done at CUNY. Enjoy senior year. Focus on being here. Focus on getting good grades. Be done. Don't sweat it just because your friend is applying somewhere. They're not paying your tuition, I'll tell you that much. Okay? If you are looking elsewhere, 4 to 8 is a good number because you can really address the packages they give you. You can really look at the numbers. You can really break it down. Maybe you can even go visit that many. I've had students apply to one school, be the happiest senior in the world. I've had students, and I kid you not, apply to over 40 schools, and their head is spinning. Everybody wants them to go to a different school. It doesn't help. Okay, you want the reach schools, again, it means less than 40%. Every school has an admissions profile on their website. You look at your GPA, you look at your SAT, you compare it to theirs. If you are equal or exceed, it is now a safety. If you are around one or the other, or both, it is a ballpark. If you are nowhere near it, or if the school is an Ivy League, a top HBCU, Macaulay, it's a reach. And again, that's not to hurt anybody's feelings. They can be that selective because everyone applying is the best of the best. So that's where we get those numbers from. Okay? And then again, I just wrote it again to be that annoying that you all need to apply to CUNY. So there's 2 things that a lot of kids get confused, early action and early decision. I always go back to, and if you're active, you can move, you can be flexible. You can apply to as many early action schools as you want, and you are not locked in. You can wait till you get your financial package, which this year is going to be even later because you're not even allowed to fill out the forms until December. And you can then make a good decision for you and your family. Most of these are then due November 1st, November 15th, December 1st. That is not my deadline. That is the school's deadline. I can't call up and say, listen, can she have another day? She's our best student. No, they don't care. It's reality. If it was my deadline, I'd give you another day. But this is not my deadline. This is the college's deadline. That is the deadline for you as the applicant. Do not bombard your teacher at 7 o'clock in the morning after you already emailed them at 5 a.m. saying, you need to get my letter of recommendation up today. Today's the deadline. It's not their deadline. It was your deadline. And you waited for the last minute, which is not the best idea, but we have about another week of buffer period. The second you hit submit, you're going to get emails. Congratulations, you applied. This is everything you're missing. And you're like, oh my God, I couldn't even enjoy the moment. Yeah, because it's a generated email that they're missing your transcript, they're missing your letters, they're missing the school profile, they're missing this. We will get it out, and we'll get it out in a timely manner. If you follow the steps, you let us know, we'll get it out. But your deadline is not our deadline, so take a deep breath, come to school like a sane person, walk in the office, and speak to people normally, okay? Early decision. Mr. Greenfield's listening to this. Is definite. D is definite. It is a is binding. You sign an affidavit. You get in, you're going. They don't need to give you a dime because you want it so bad. They know that. So I've had students sometimes do early decision because they think it's the only way I'm getting into NYU, and they want to live in Manhattan. Do you have $85,000? Because that's how expensive NYU is, living in Manhattan. My child's not doing that in 10 years, I'll tell you that. So early decision. If you end up doing this, besides the fact I start to get gray hair, I call your family, I send a form. They have to sign it. You have to sign it. I need to hear from the rich uncle that's going to pay for this. We will not sign off on this because we have to, as a school, say we're agreeing to this. We won't sign off on it until I hear from a parent or guardian with my form and like comparing signatures, because that's how important it is to kind of stay away from this. Now, how do schools trick you? NYU doesn't have early action. They only have early decision or general admission. So it's like, well, I could hear by December, or I have to wait until March. I'll just do this one. No. Stevens Tech in Hoboken has one of the best opportunities from college in America to go to an American medical school. They don't have early decision. They don't have early action. They have early decision, and they have general admission. So schools purposely use this because it's a business. Please don't fall into this trap. If I see early decision, I will panic your child because I will pull them right out of whatever class they're in and say, I see this, because it comes right up. I see this is what you did. Did you mean this? Then, oh, I didn't know, I just thought I checked that. All right, we could take care of it. We could take care of it because I didn't sign off on it yet. But once you get that acceptance letter, it's really hard to backtrack this. Okay? And then I gave you a nice graphic just to throw it out there a little bit more. Okay, we can move on. That's in the handbook. The application fees. Every college has its own fee. It could be anywhere from $35, $50 up to $85 per application. If you fill in the lunch form and you're eligible for fee waivers, we can waive them. Again, CUNY is free in October. If you fill out the lunch form, which you still should do, we will still get fee waivers in case you are a straggler and I'm chasing you. We will use the fee waiver then for after October. SUNY, we're all 7 free schools for all. CUNY, privates, this is where privates will get you. They make a whole lot of money off of applications. So that's something you need to keep in mind when you're budgeting for all of this. We already talked about the lunch form and all the things that the lunch form does. All right. What do you send as the student? You're sending your application. If it's required, your essay. If it's required, your resume. Your resume might be broken down into extracurricular activities, jobs, employment, things along those lines. You're paying your SAT scores if you need to, and then anything. And again, this is where I said, like, give it a few days, because you're automatically going to get that email that says you're missing this, this, and this. We'll get it. Give us a few days. Okay? That is what the student is sending. This is the part. Next, yeah, thank you. We'll be sending. This is the college office. We're sending out your transcript. We're sending out the school profile. That shows where all the classes we offer, the weight of the grades, where our students go, the average SAT for the school, all the information about the school. We will send the reports, the recommendations, and the teacher letters. Okay? If you ask, and again, we go back to less is more. I have some students that sometimes ask 4 or 5 teachers for a letter. Don't be a teacher hog. Ask 2. If you need to, ask 3. But then they come to me and say, well, I want this teacher for this school, this teacher for that school. If you don't tell me, I'll be honest, I'll read the letters and I'll send the one that I think is the most beneficial for you. But if you never said, no, I really need the science letter, now it might not get there. So now we have to contact admissions and do this whole, like, I'll get it there, believe me, I'll get it there somehow. But it's the communication. Because if I see your deadline is in 3 days, and 3 out of 4 of your letters are up, and the school only takes 3, I hate looking at my computer and seeing red. I want to see green checks everywhere. So I will send it out with those 3. I'll give it a day or 2, and I might even send you a pass. But if you didn't come to see me and you didn't make it a point to email me, I'm sending out the 3 letters I send, so it's there on time. If you wanted to wait for somebody else, you need to talk to me about that. Your student needs to talk to me about that. Okay? Thank you. SAT and ACT, all the students took last year the SAT here in-house. It was SAT school day. I have their scores. They should have their scores. They all have a College Board account. They have to be able to go on it because you can download your own report, and a lot of times if you are sending your scores, you can upload them right to the college portal. College Board still sends out SAT scores in the mail by paper. So if you can't get on College Board and download and upload, it could take weeks. So you'll see everything else have a green check, and that will stay red on your portal. So please, if you know you're going to send your scores, get on your College Board account and make sure you know what they are. Okay? Again, test optional. The one caveat to test optional, like SUNY will say, we're still test optional, we're still test optional. And they are. But it might not be their nursing school. It might not be the pharmacy program. It might not be the PA program. So within schools that are test optional, certain majors are not. So I had a student last year that was applying to an engineering program at Stony Brook. And he said, everybody's gotten their decision but me. I don't understand. So he brought up his portal, and I said, it says right here, SAT scores. He said, but their first page says SAT optional. I said, not the engineering major. So he was delayed. And the longer you wait, and this is why our deadlines are insanely early here, the school that wants the 85 in October and November, if they get enough applicants in February, they want an 89. So what might have been a ballpark or a safety just became a reach. So that's why we get things out early. They are not looking at you as the class of 2024. They're looking at you as the class of 2028, and every seat is empty. They start to fill up as the year goes on. So we want to get you ahead of the game. That is why we're doing all this. Okay? Scholarships. All right, this is the one everybody's been waiting for, I know. Yes, everybody hears it. There's scholarships for everything. If you have green hair, if you're left-handed, if you ride a skateboard, there's scholarships for everything. There are. And they have profiles for them on sites like FastWeb and Scholarship. But you're going against everyone in the nation. So sometimes it's just you put a profile together on these sites, and if a scholarship comes up that matches your profile, you get an alert, and you can send your application. Sometimes it might say it's an art scholarship. You have to send a piece of your original art. Sometimes it might say they want a community service resume, and you send that. They exist. And I hate to be so blunt, they're hard to get. Those are hard to get. The big money is based on your application, your scores if you send them, the rigor of your transcript, your GPA, and it's mostly the private schools. Because what private schools do, they know, they're not stupid. They know a lot of private schools are closing. Iona just bought Concordia, Cabrini just got bought by Villanova, Sciences of Philly just got bought by St. Joseph's. They can't sustain with their prices. So what they do is they try to give you a scholarship to make it as close to a SUNY tuition as possible. So you'll hear someone from Pace got $120,000. That's amazing. Break it down into 4 years. So it's $30,000 a year. Pace is 50. Just became 20. What is that? Room and board at SUNY. Okay, so the private schools are the ones that give out the money, but you're still going to have a bill. The big money comes right from the application. Once you apply to a school, and this is where I go back to less is more, you have to constantly check your college-going email. They might send you an invitation to their honors program, which might have a scholarship attached. They might send you an invitation to the ASAP program, which might get you into Baruch with an 83 average when Baruch wants a 90. And it comes with a Metro card and free books. So there's different things you have to check. That's where the money is, based on your application, based on filling out financial aid, based on filling out TAP. There are sometimes programs that you don't even know exist, that once they see all of those things, the colleges then reach out to you. And by you, I mean your student and their college-going email. The Excelsior Grant is for SUNY and CUNY. The DREAM Scholarship is for undocumented students. Cultural Scholarship, Community Service, local awards, anything that we get here, these local ones especially, we get PTA, we get Staten Island, we get something just for a Port Richmond student athlete, we will blast it out. This fall season is application season. The spring tends to be scholarship season. So we blast it out as we get it, and we look for candidates. These deadlines we cannot change. If your child did not send the essay on time, and we've already sent it to the family that's reviewing the essay for a scholarship, their application doesn't go. Okay, so we blast all those things out, and we give out a lot of local awards. It's not going to be enough to pay tuition for 4 years. And that's what needs to be understood. All of the awards at the end of the year, all of the scholarships on FastWeb, most of the time, they're one-time scholarships. Means obviously you get it once, it's not renewable. The scholarships from the school, when I said PACE gave $120,000, $30,000 a year, that's renewable every year as long as you do whatever the scholarship requirement is. Okay? Athletic scholarships come for Division I and Division II. I went through that process. If you think that's something you need to do or want to do, come talk to me. But I will tell everybody that ever speaks to me, playing Division I basketball was my first full-time job. I earned every dollar through blood, sweat, and tears and black and blues getting that scholarship. So it's not, I want one of those athletic scholarships. That's not how it works. Okay, Division II, sometimes if you're multiple sport athletes and you fit in the wheelhouse, you can play a couple of sports and get $10,000 from this one, $10,000 from this one. We can make it work. So there's ways to reach out because Division IIs don't have as big of budgets. And so they don't have all these coaches. They don't have, Nick Saban coming to your house. But it's not just, I want it. There's a lot of other parts to that. Okay? And we can keep rocking. Thank you. All right, financial aid. Again, this we're going to go over in October for December. You just try to start getting your tax return. It's for 2 years ago. If you do your taxes online, you actually can sync them through the online portal, so you don't have to worry about it. You'll be filling out 24, 25. I'm not going to get into this right now because we are doing this on financial aid night. Okay? And this is the Excelsior Scholarship. I've mentioned it a bunch of times. It is for CUNY and SUNY for families that make under $125,000. Tuition is covered. Tuition is covered. Okay? It does not become available until late May of your senior year. So by that time, what does it mean? You already picked your college, you already said yes, you already sent the deposit. So this will come after that, which I know is a little nerve-wracking for families. But you already know that your tuition is completely covered, probably by financial aid and TAP. This is something extra. Okay? And then there's other programs within the schools, SEEK and HEOP, Equal Opportunity Program, Higher Ed Equal Opportunity Program, that allows for students that might not have the particular grades. Maybe their grades are a little lower, but again, maybe it was their situation. Maybe they had to work throughout high school. Maybe their family needed them to make extra income. The schools will look at that. If you are eligible for these programs, you absolutely fill it out. I know it is more paperwork, but if it gets you the place you want to go with no loans or perhaps getting paid or cheaper room and board, it is worth the extra paperwork now. Okay, so these are all things that a lot of times, again, when you fill out the forms, you'll get an email from the school. You're eligible for EOP, please fill this out. You're eligible for HEOP, please fill this out. Okay, and the ones from CUNY is sometimes free MetroCard, free books, free mentoring. They're amazing programs. Take advantage of them. I promise I'm almost done. I already talked about the NCAA. We can move on. That's the website where you would do. The red folder. Every student should come into our office, and this is the way we make sure that we didn't hand these out so we know they come in, and receive this red folder. It has a bunch of college information, things that you would put on the application, our phone number, our names, email addresses, just the biographical information, as well as when they started school, when they graduate, all this information that seem like simple questions, but when you're doing the application, it can get overwhelming. That's all there, along with information about Naviance and different things. Every senior should be coming in and getting that red folder, and it has everything you need to navigate, as well as the handbook. We have more copies coming to the office probably by the end of the week, if not next week, and then and the SUNY book. We have all of these things for you, and the handbook has every profile for SUNY CUNY. It has a lot of information. It is your go-to. It has a glossary in the back with all these college definitions. Use the handbook. It has a lot of information. Okay, the deadlines, again, I've already talked about this. We want CUNY out. December, and again, these are my deadlines. I'm not going to lie. I did an application last year for CUNY the day before graduation for a senior who changed his mind. That's fine. We'll do that. But there was no more seats at Hunter, John Jay, Brooklyn, or Baruch. That's okay. Start somewhere else. Transfer. It's fine. But earlier is better. If you get everything in by December, by the time you leave for your winter break, all of your application materials will be out. Okay? So if you don't meet those deadlines, it might not go back until January. Colleges don't start up again until the middle of January. So now, when people are getting their responses at the end of December and you're not getting yours until February and March, it changes the timeline, okay? And then the final thoughts, again, it's a business. Come get your red folder. The application workshops we'll have individual. If I see a lot of kids want to do an application and they're all applying to the same type of school, we'll bring them in together and we'll walk through it. I'll go into the classes. You have to check your emails. That is how the colleges contact you, through email. And then each school that you apply to, you're probably going to start a portal on their own school. So again, you apply to 8 schools, that's 8 portals you need to keep track of. You have to be cognizant of those things. Okay, obviously adhering to all the deadlines. I know this was an overwhelming amount of information and you just got to go home and absorb it. Once you get started, it's not hard. It's time consuming. Once you get your list, you feel a little better. It's the what's my list and then actually doing it. But it's not hard once you get the list and get started. I promise that. And we'll be here to walk you through everything. Okay, I think that's it, right? Okay, this was some thoughts from last year's class. Less is more. Again, the kid that applied to 40 came back and said, why did I do this? Check your portals. I just said that. And you can't fall behind in senior year. A lot of the students were shocked to find out all the SUNYs last year wanted their mid-year transcript. Mid-year transcript is how are you doing in senior year? So if you had a 90 average when you applied, and in senior year you're getting 70s, you're going to get a rejection letter. They wanted to see, okay, you're telling us you're a 90 student. Are you still a 90 student? And in the worst case scenario, and thank God in my many, many years of doing this, I've only seen it once, after a final transcript was sent and a student just skated by in senior year, in June, after graduating, received a rescindance letter from the college. This is not the student we accepted. Please find another school. You can't take off in senior year. You can't. You have to still do the work. We want to see you graduate. And we want to see you graduate up to your potential, because that would make a smoother transition to college. Okay? And that is a wrap. Thank you so much. Mr. Modugno is going to talk about fun things. Don't go, don't go.
Hold on. All right, so every senior last week was given a senior letter. How many parents actually got the senior letter? You see? And then I'm the bad guy when I'm like the cash collector in March because you haven't paid your senior dues, and your parents come to me and they're like, when did you give out this letter saying that they owed $100? September 17th is when we gave it out. Now we're here tonight. If you didn't get this, I have it up front. I'm going to run through this really quick with you because clearly they come home and tell you everything. Not. All right. The prom theme is not going to be revealed tonight. All right. So here we go. You see the box. It's got all the important dates. Next week, starting Monday, you are going to get your senior photo appointments. Parents, let me explain to you what the senior photo appointment is. This cannot be changed. This cannot be altered. They can't show up 3 hours into the school day if their appointment is like 11 a.m. and you want to take them to get hair and makeup done and they miss school. This is not glamour shots, okay? School comes first. Send them to school with their hair and makeup done, okay? I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not being mean. I'm just hitting you guys with the facts. The appointments go alphabetically. It's as simple as that. I have 3 photographers coming for 5 days. There's 400 seniors that have to take photos. You understand? They get a half-hour lunch every day. So we're just pumping out the pictures. Now, they're going to get an email with those photo proofs in their email about 2 months later, probably around Christmas time. When they get those photos, if you like them, you can order them right online. They ship right to your house. If you don't like them, there's a retake date. It's all in the boxes on the schedule. On the retake date, they do them here at school. That's an additional fee. The pictures cost $15 to sit and take, okay? It doesn't cost you $15 to get the photo. That's separate. You order the photo based on the package you want. Also, there's going to be info on selecting for the yearbook. Why is that important? Because every year there's a kid that disregards it, and multiple kids, and then the yearbook comes out, and they come to me the day before graduation. I didn't choose this. I'm like, books printed, you paid, congratulations. What do I do for you? Okay? Not being mean, just keeping you guys up to date. They must check their emails. They must check the Google Classroom. You must drill them, okay? This letter has all the information for the rest of senior year. Senior dues, we started collecting already. There have only been 4 seniors that paid the dues. Last year's senior class paid $150. We had enough senior dues to lower the price for them to $100. That's a big drop. When I paid my senior dues at Port Richmond High School, they were $250. Okay? You remember Nancy, right? Okay? Now, if they pay $110, they get a lifetime membership to the school's alumni association. My opinion, you want to give the $110 because all the stuff that's great about Port Richmond that you know and love when kids are able to get scholarships from the alumni association and whatnot, that's what funds it. The classes previous fund these scholarships and things like that. And the band trip that went to Washington, D.C., and the kids only had to pay like a few dollars, that was funded by the alumni because you guys gave an extra $5 or $10 previous years to the Alumni Association. And then it also keeps you in the know about the school once every few months, okay? So all the dates are here. The prom, okay? Senior trip, we're working on. Mr. Greenfield and I are waiting on word back from the district about our trip, okay? If we can't get the trip we want to do, there'll definitely be some sort of senior trip, but we're looking to try to do a nice weekend away. I love this class. I want to first say that. There's a lot of great students in this class, and they really are just an awesome group of students. And I just want to thank you as parents for giving us amazing kids. Student government, stand up. It's a lot of seniors. Look. Okay? There's a lot of seniors in this room that are already moving and shaking to get things done. They're planning things for you. Senior year is fun. I want you to get involved. Don't just be the senior that leaves at the end of the school day. Tomorrow night is the dance. Come to the dance. They're going to take your yearbook photos. They're going to be doing things, okay? All of the senior activities. Do I need to go over community service? Parents, do you want me to talk really quick about the community service? I don't care what you kids want. I'm talking to your parents. Yes, okay. So They need 25 hours of community service to walk out of the door here in June. If they're an honors kid, I'm told they need 100. But here's the trick. I'll take a question after. Here's the trick. By the end of October, I already have about 50 hours on the clock for them. They know all the opportunities. I'm not going to go through the pretty slideshow I did for the freshmen. They know. The opportunities are around the building. There's QR codes to scan. There's a walk on Saturday morning. They get 5 hours for going to a 90-minute walk. They get an hour every time they raise $10 for community service. They get 6 hours for wearing a color to school. They get 2 hours if they bring me a bag of cans during November when I want to help feed the homeless from the school. There's multiple opportunities. I'm telling you this because they come to me in June after they've disregarded it, and then they're like, what could you do to help me graduate? And I'm like, nothing. I don't have community service. Graduation's next week. What do you want? Come to my church. Go clean the pews. What do you want me to tell you? So I'm telling you because there's multiple opportunities for them. Tomorrow, they organize the bake sale. If you donate to the bake sale, we'll give community service. I'll take names. I want to help you, but you got to want to help yourself as well. You're seniors. It's time to say, you know what? I got to do the right thing. I'm noble. I got to stand up and be a great young adult. Senior activities, yes, they are a right and a privilege, but only if a student academically is up to par and is in good behavioral standing with the school. I don't have to say that because we're all angels. We're all great. None of us behave out of pocket, right? So make sure you guys don't miss out on these things. Senior prom is at the Hilton, May 31st. I'm telling you now, so you know, Port Richmond does not condone, support, promote, or involve themselves with any pre, post, day of prom parties that involve libations, smelly stuff. If you wouldn't do it at school, don't walk into my prom representing the school in a way. I'm tossing you out and you're not getting a refund. I'm just telling you. We don't fly like that. Port Richmond is always, thank you, Miss Campanelli. Port Richmond is always complimented for having the best prom, and the Hilton loves the students because they come in and they enjoy the night, and they do what high school kids are supposed to do. So I'm just telling you that in front of parents now. Senior dues and senior prom are separate fees. Senior trip will also be a separate fee. Senior year gets very expensive, okay? But now that you have the letter, understand the deadlines are spaced out, so it's not expensive, okay? I know I sound like the hard nose. Miss Blanchard was all nice with all the nice college stuff, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page with all this stuff, okay? I'm looking forward to it. It's always great. Our seniors are amazing every year. This is a really great group of students. Come out and support the football team. Get to a game. Come and support the basketball teams. Get involved. Clubs are starting up. Monday there's an expo. I hope to see you tomorrow at the dance. If any parent has any question and you want to speak to me, I'm here. All right? Thanks for coming out. Have a great night and a great rest of senior year.